5:30. Let us bring the City of Spartanburg City Council meeting to order. First one of the year. Happy New Year to you all. We look forward to thriving in Spartanburg in the year 2025. So we're going to stand for a moment of silence while we're standing and just thinking and have things going in your head. Just remember the folks in Los Angeles that's going through the fire and the tragedy there. So let us stand. Amen. We'll be led for the last time by Mayor Pro Tem on the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Item 3, we have the approval of the minutes of the December 16th.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. Approval of the agenda for January the 13th, 2025.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that oppose? Ayes have it. We, number 5, in the region, I just told Councilwoman Sally that this will be her last time. We have the election of the 2025 Mayor Pro Tem. Do I hear a motion?
I'm going to nominate Councilwoman Erica Brown.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And any that oppose? Ayes have it. We'll make that transition from one seat to the next. You're going all of 5 steps to the next seat. Thank you for accepting, and we do appreciate Councilwoman Sally filling in when called upon. We have public comments with item 6. The way public comments works, so when you come up, I'm going to read your name off, or restate your name and your address, and after that, you will have 2 minutes to state your concern with the city of Spartanburg, and at the end of that 2 minutes, you will hear a buzzer go off from Ms. Christy Lindsay, and your time will have expired. So with that being said, Mr. Josh Thompson. To the podium. Either, yeah, both of them.
Thank you, Mayor. Council persons, my name is Josh Thompson. I'm a city resident, business owner, and here today I'm on behalf of our co-commissioner for Hillbrook Baseball, Inc. We are a not-for-profit and a community youth athletic association recognized by the County Parks and Rec for operating recreational baseball in the city in District 7 of Spartanburg. I didn't recognize that I'd be crashing maybe item number 7, but I came today to express my thanks on behalf of Hillbrook Baseball and Softball for Mr. Kennedy, for Ms. Brown, for Scott Page, and for the many folks at the city who have worked with us over the past year and a half as we've worked on a partnership for baseball and softball offerings within the city and within the county. Last year, we were happy to offer baseball and softball to 260 children. Last fall, during our off season, we had 174 play. We've had registrations open for a little over a week this spring for our spring season and already have 120 signed up. We're looking with the city to expand that programming over the last year and a half through the valuable use of Duncan Park, through helping with scholarship and grant opportunities for children from certain schools and elementary schools and programs. We've been distributing that information. We're very thankful for the partnership. And I guess that's part of what makes Kim get item number 7 coming out of the list. So we're very thankful for everything City of Spartanburg has done, Parks and Rec have done, and we look forward to continuing this partnership and growing this program for the benefit of all children in the city in D7.
Good. Josh, thank you and what you guys do over in Hillbrook. So we do appreciate your commitment there. And because you have stolen Kim's thunder with item 7, special recognition to Kim Brown for being awarded the Professional of the Year award for South Carolina Recreation and Park Association. Presenter will be Mr. Mitch Kennedy, Deputy City Director. And go ahead, Mitch, you can take it.
Evening, Mayor and members of council. My task is to invite a friend forward, Jim Headley, who's the Executive Director of South Carolina Recreation and Parks. Jim has been a dear friend to our community for many, many years. He's personally assisted me a great deal as we've worked to revamp and create a vision for how we want to do parks and recreation in our city. So I want to invite Jim up to let him present this special recognition for us. Jim.
Hit that mic.
This is like I do it back in the office. See, they don't allow me to touch anything electronic.
It's going. It was going.
Sound up.
That's it. Yeah, it's moving. Go ahead and let Jim start, and Christopher, you keep going, please. We'd like to see the video as well. But Jim, if you don't mind.
All right. Thank you, Mitch. Really appreciate that, and do love our partnerships together with all of our city municipalities and counties throughout the state of South Carolina. My name is Jim Headley. I'm the Executive Director with the South Carolina Recreation Park Association, and it's certainly indeed a pleasure and honor to be here to do something that we don't do enough of in local government work, and that's to celebrate folks and celebrate those that have gone up and above and have continued to go up and above. And with that, I would like to call Kim Brown to the, I almost said Kim Moultrie.
We all do. We all do.
You got your video?
Oh.
While she walks up.
This year's SCRPA Professional of the Year started her career over 15 years ago. She works behind the scenes and out of the limelight. But those that have worked for her or with her know that she is a person of high integrity and professionalism. She effectively guides her team with a combination of vision, empathy, and decisiveness. She communicates, sets achievable goals, and motivates her team members to perform at their best. She has a genuine desire to see her team succeed. She is the epitome of leading by example, inspiring those around her to strive for excellence. If there's a late football game or special event, she is there. If a neighboring agency or local organization needs to collaborate to create a more impactful program, she is there. If youth in the community or a colleague needs advice, guidance, or encouragement, she is there. She doesn't hesitate to step in whenever her team or anyone needs her, much like her predecessor and mentor did before her. Our recipient came to our field later in life, but we are lucky to have her and her passion. Kim Brown started her career working under the tutelage of the late Brian Wofford. She has continued his passion for service to others. Kim is involved with the Community Health Awareness Day, a free community health fair with health screenings, activities for families, food, and entertainment held in Spartanburg each year. She is also a member of the Spartanburg County Foundation's Grassroots Leadership Development Institute Alumni Association. Kim is an economist by study and a certified parks and recreation professional by trade. She has blended the principles of economics, identifying areas of gaps and scarcity, to fill them with resources and services that continue to impact the community's welfare over time. Kim has served on numerous SCRPA committees and currently chairs the Executive Management Level Branch. She graduated from SCRPA's SC Lead class in 2010. SCRPA is honored to have valuable members who work behind the scenes, and now is the time to honor and shine the limelight on Kim Brown.
Many of you see her day-to-day work here in Spartanburg. But what I'd like to tell you is what was a little bit alluded to on that video is Kim goes up and above and beyond that to be a mentor, to be a friend, and to be a colleague throughout the entire state of South Carolina, not just up here in our Western District area, but through the entire state. She is certainly always a pleasure to work for, and part of that video alluded to it. You will never see her take the limelight one time. But it is truly indeed an honor. I've known Kim for her 18 years that she has been with the city of Spartanburg, and every day she never ceases to amaze me, to see the professionalism that she always exudes, and to be able to have that sharing, caring attitude. It is great to be able to, for me to be able to represent an association full of Kim Browns. But Kim Brown is Kim Brown, and she deserves this limelight tonight, and it is indeed an honor for us to be able to represent this award.
Kim, don't go anywhere, don't go anywhere, don't go anywhere. I'm sure you have a few words, even though you have a presentation coming up here shortly, and I'm sure the council will have a few words for you as well.
Yes, first I'd like to say thank you to the South Carolina Recreation and Parks Association. Jim has certainly provided a lot of leadership for us in the 18 years that I've been a part of the association. As I was preparing the presentation for later on, part of the presentation has a little space in there for Irwin Park. And Irwin Park in 2006 was the first time I actually came in contact with City of Spartanburg Parks and Recreation staff. Our deputy city manager was there. A number of community members were there to build a playground in one day. And I was just there to volunteer. But when I left that afternoon, I started to see myself doing more of that work, and was so pleased and have been blessed to have started at the former TK Gregg Center, and had great mentors to look up to, great colleagues with the association to help guide me along the way. And as far as staffing, we have had over the years experts in their field who are passionate about the work that they do every day. Some of them are here this afternoon, and I'd like for anybody that's a Parks and Rec current or a former staff member to stand up, please, because they challenge me every day to make us better.
Good. Anything else, council?
Congratulations, Kim.
Thank you.
Well deserved.
Thank you.
Kim acknowledged her staff, but Laquan, if you don't mind standing, Laquan at the same presentation in Myrtle Beach was recognized as the Young Professional of the Year.
Wow.
Wow.
Awesome.
He now works for Greenfield, but under Kim's leadership, he's grown as a professional who was recognized at the same time.
Yeah. Laquan left us in here in Spartanburg. We don't go there.
Mr. Mayor, yeah, if I could. Actually, I saw Laquan back there and was excited for a minute thinking you'd come back to us, but no. I've had the privilege of working alongside Kim in my other role at the Spartanburg Academic Movement and her involvement in our out-of-school time collaborative. And Kim, it's so interesting, I haven't heard you say that story about Irwin Park, but the first time I met you was at the Kaboom in Beaumont. And that was before any of my involvement, and I saw our team working and how dedicated y'all were, and it was contagious. It's like, I want to be a part of this group of people. And Kim was one of the first people that I ever heard use the term at-promise youth. We've probably all heard the term at-risk youth, but Kim has challenged anyone that she works with to see the good in people and see youth as asset-driven rather than a deficit. Youth aren't people to be fixed. They are young people to learn from and to come alongside of and empower them to be their best selves. So Kim, you've made a huge impact in not just the city of Spartanburg, but all of the partners through the collaborative, and I consider it a real joy to be your colleague.
Thank you.
Awesome, awesome. So Kim, as well, we work together with different events and different things with Park and Recreation, and it goes without saying, even with, they're mentioning Hillbrook and partnering, and the partnerships we have with the schools, the partnership we have with the football, all the sports, and with the teens, and the list goes on and on. But just showing how we're truly reaching reaching every kid here in the city of Spartanburg was that swim team this past summer. That was just a delight to see those kids, even though the team came out to be Tigers. And we're not going to go there. I had to mention that for her. She's a big Clemson grad. But we do appreciate you so much in what you do, the leadership you bring, not only to the Park and Rec team, but to the entire staff at the city of Spartanburg. So I'm so proud to have you a part of our team. And as I stated in the retreat the other day, it's all about team for me. It's all about team. We're only as strong as our weakest link. And we want all of our links to be strong. And you're that fine example of a strong link to the city of Spartanburg team. So thank you, and well deserved.
Thank you all.
Thank you. Item 8, we have consent agenda.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion we approve the consent agenda.
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Any that oppose? Good. Item 9, we have ordinance, the ordinance to amend the City of Spartanburg, South Carolina zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan land use element by amending Section 206, changes to the district boundary, specifically the property located at 100 Hudson L. Barksdale Boulevard, 2025. Barksdale Boulevard, and is further identified as TMSID 7-12-15-009.00 as part of a parcel of the city of Spartanburg, which is Zone R6, with the land use designation of General Residential District to be assigned a zoning designation of D5. That's enough of that. Presenter, Ms. Fredalyn Frazier, Planning Director.
Good evening, Mayor and council members. This is the second reading for this rezoning, so just bringing this forward to you if you have any additional questions. But in our previous discussion, and I do believe we have a couple of maps just to refresh your memory here. So as you can see here, the property is bounded by South Liberty Street, Henry Street, and Lee Street, and Hudson Barksdale. We can move on to the next one, Christopher. It's currently zone R6, and I know the question came up last time in terms of the density required or allowed under R6, and it's 10 units per acre. This development or this existing site is just shy of 1.5 acres. But the applicant is proposing to move forward with a DT5 zoning. And we have presented to the Planning Commission as well as hosting a public information session. We did not receive any additional comments regarding the rezoning. But we do, I know that there were some questions regarding the current use, which is a separate item from here, but I want to let you know that we have been meeting with the proposed owner, who is here today as well, who has committed to the affordability of the project once they move forward and have full ownership, which they don't have at this point in time, but we've been working very closely with them. So the affordability component will be maintained, and then in the near term, their plans are to renovate the project over the next year, but then with the rezoning, they will be working with us for a total redevelopment of the site within that 12-month period. So we'll see something from them within 12 months regarding the redevelopment, but in the interim, once they take possession of the property, they are going to work with the tenants to systematically work on renovations. And if you want more details about the exact programmatic approach that they have, like I said, the applicant is here to speak to that. But for the rezoning, based on our review and the Planning Commission's recommendations, we feel that the DT5 is a suitable rezoning for this location. It's something that is expressed in the future land use map and the comprehensive plan, and so we feel it's a suitable rezoning.
Questions, Ms. Frazier?
Yeah, Ms. Frazier, since the last meeting, there was a fire there.
Yes.
But do you know?
Yes, I don't have the exact details to that, but speaking with the applicant, they're of course fully aware of that, and they do plan to begin with that particular unit first, and while they're there, they also plan to look at the other units, but they're fully aware of that. and there's an investigation ongoing there.
Okay, and I want to thank you as well, for phoning over the weekend and clarifying some things for me
Sure.
on that. I do appreciate that.
You're very welcome, Councilwoman.
Any other questions?
Ferlin, I'm trying to go
Yeah.
back in my memory to when we had this discussion in December. It feels like it was 2 years ago. But I know there was some question around the timing of this application.
Yes, Councilman. That's what I alluded to. With the rezoning, the applicant has a total of 12 months. We really like to see something from them in terms of their formal development plan within 6 months. We think it will more than likely happen in 12, but they are committed to showing us that redevelopment, the next stage of their redevelopment in 12 months. That doesn't mean the construction begins, but we'll be working with them on a master plan and whatever their future development plans hold within 12 months.
But the zoning classification would remain intact? Or after 12 months, would it expire?
No, it does not expire.
And I think, if I recall, just correct me if I'm wrong, Ferlin, they're looking at buying it, and it's a non-conforming use in its current zoning. They would rezone it so that it would be zoned for what's actually there.
That and for future
And for
mixed
future.
use, which is even more of aligned with what we would like to see along the corridor.
But the existing density that's there today doesn't conform with R6.
They have 40 units on site right now.
They don't
Wasn't
wanna-
there
they don't
some
wanna buy
discussion
it with
about-
the non-conforming zone.
Right. And there was some discussion about that under its current zoning classification, if there was, say, a fire or something like that, they would be prohibited from renovating or replacing a unit at its existing density?
Exactly. So
Potentially,
we'll
yeah.
be working with them moving forward with that because of this unfortunate.
So, under its current zoning, that would not be allowed,
Exactly.
even a renovation?
Renovation,
wasn't
yes, because
destroyed.
it's a health and safety factor there.
Right, okay.
Yes.
I move that, I don't want to move.
Any other questions?
I move that we approve the ordinance to amend the City of Spartanburg, South Carolina zoning ordinance and comprehensive plan for
Second.
this parcel.
Second.
Good. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any that oppose? Great. We're good. Thank you.
Thank you.
We have item 10, and that's art funding, strategy park improvement, presented Mr. Mitch Kennedy, Deputy City Director, Kim Brown, Park and Recreation Special Events Director, and Person of the Year. Erica let us know she was the Player of the Year back then, so you're the
Sure did.
Player of the Year, MVP.
Mayor,
Mr. Kennedy.
Mayor, Council, I just want to introduce this item, and Kim, along with Laura Ringo, is going to come forward to talk more specifically about the use of these funds. Back in the fall of last year, staff came before you with a defined approach to how we were going to obligate our second phase of funding for our ARPA funds. You all received that information, approved it, but asked for us to come back with a more specifically defined strategy regarding the use, understanding that council also directed staff to seek opportunities to leverage these funds where it was appropriate and available, but also understanding that these dollars would also identify things that were our essential services and how we invested. So tonight you're going to hear a combination of that from Kim along with Laura on how we are choosing to strategize the investment of these dollars, but also leverage dollars as we see fit. Kim.
Thank you, Mitch. Council, so we look for guidance through the comprehensive plan and looking at how we move our parks and recreation system forward. So we've kind of honed on 4 points currently, but can expound on those. And from the comprehensive plan, looking at enhancements to our existing parks and facilities, looking at spaces that promote socioeconomic mixing, strengthening our community connections, and increasing the opportunities for and the knowledge of and access to our spaces throughout the city. So first on our list is recreational programming, transportation. As a part of the OST collaborative, we have programming in the afternoons for our teens all the way up to sometimes age 21. What we found is many of the people in our collaborative do not provide transportation. And our youth let us know that the biggest barrier to their participation is being able to be in a space at a particular time and to move about the city depending on what school they're coming from, what programs we may have at our centers, and just that transportation becomes a big barrier when it comes to out-of-school time programming, not only in a setting for middle and high school, but also looking at what we use on the weekends. Our centers have very diverse programming, and that's one thing that we've really been working on is what you may find at C.C. Woodson, you may not necessarily find at T.K. Gregg. So how do we make certain that our youth and their parents, if needed, have access to that programming in a timely manner that helps them grow within the programming and to build community outside of just where their front doors are. So this is a activity bus that is actually we can procure on a state contract for about $145,000. It is a 72-passenger youth, 40-passenger adult activity bus. And just a couple of spaces that we feel this transportation would really help us increase outreach. First, as I mentioned before, access to community centers. For example, we have programming, in particular, year-long swimming at T.K. Gregg. So there may be families in the Highland area or on the south side who may want to take swim lessons but may not have access to those swim lessons on the weekend. So this transportation can help them move about the city, get to those places where they need to be on the weekend. Another example would be their specified programming that we have at C.C. Woodson. Currently, when we have out-of-school time camps, for example, spring break camp, winter camps, camps for young children 5 to 12 are held at C.C. Woodson. Teens and older ages are held at T.K. Gregg. So we find that if we have someone that lives on the north side who has 2 children who want to get to a winter camp over at C.C. Woodson, but may not have the access to transportation, whether it be having to catch a ride with someone else or paying possibly to an Uber or something like that, they would have that opportunity also to move about the city and get to the programming that they desire. Josh is here, talked a little bit about athletics. We are expanding our baseball programming. And with each year, we're looking to partner more, and we are providing incentives for young people to participate in baseball. However, we still find that transportation is also a barrier. When you have young people who Cleveland Elementary, for example, they are really looking forward to starting baseball, but the access to places like Duncan Park, Stewart Park, and possibly even the middle schools, if we start to use those for practice and play, how do we make sure that those young people are afforded the same opportunities that other young people are afforded to be able to participate in those sports? As I mentioned before, youth development programming. Currently, we limit some of the participation that we have in some of our youth development programming simply because we do not have the ability to transport more than 14 young people currently at any time. Oftentimes, we have to rent buses, vans to transport those young people. We normally take 4 incentive field trips during the year. And I think last year we spent close to $12,000 either renting charter buses, renting smaller vans, or using District 7 transportation to move those young people not only throughout the city of Spartanburg, but to college visits, to any of their incentive trips. So it would also help us in that light too. And also senior programming. This year we added a second location for Spartanburg County Parks program. It is ran by the county, but we play a big part in the day-to-day operations of that. And we now have seniors in both locations. And one of the things that we know that seniors who cannot drive themselves or do not drive long distance, transportation like this to get them on maybe monthly one-day trips, a lunch and learn, something like that. We also have seniors that go to a senior beach retreat every year, and they're there for 5 days, and we have to reserve a charter bus or maybe sometimes partner with another agency in order to get them there. So there are a number of ways that we can use transportation throughout our programming. And I hope you can see a little bit clearly on the map what the dots are on the map. They show actually where we have program participants who are registered in our programs. And you can see, as to be expected, most of those are centered around where our community centers are. But for us, the challenge is how do we get those young people from where they are at their center out to maybe Spartanburg, I'm not certain if you can see that. So maybe out to Spartanburg High School when there's a youth football game, maybe at McCracken when we're practicing there, or even over to Duncan Park. It may seem very, in some cases, for us who have transportation, it's not a big deal, but for a young person who comes in, who has that true desire to be a part of programming, that can sometimes be barriers when you have parents who are either working or don't have access to that transportation. Are there any questions about the bus transportation?
Yeah, Kim, you outlined the uses there, and they're somewhat different. I mean, what I'm hearing is the day-to-day use will be transport to various activities in any of the 4 buckets. The bus or the vehicle you're recommending is a pretty big bus. I mean, do we need, on a day-to-day basis, do we need a vehicle that size? Because, I mean, you outlined maybe a Sandy Island trip or whatever, but realistically, you're gonna contract out for that trip anyway, because if you take the bus offline to go to Sandy Island for 5 days, you're not gonna be able to do any of this other stuff. So is the vehicle the right vehicle for what we really need it to do on a day-to-day basis?
We feel that it is, because one of the things that we understand, 77% of our program participants are under the age of 18. And so looking at how do we really expand that programming day to day, a true example would be we currently are working on programming with Carver Middle, where we do teen outreach program. Currently, like I said before, we limit that programming to 8 young people. That's how many people we can actually transport currently now. We're actually using other city vehicles because our current bus, it is not, I would guess some would say it may be on its last leg. So we don't drive it as often as we would like to. But there are opportunities to really grow that programming and to possibly move so many young people throughout the city on a day-to-day basis. For example, an example of a route could be after picking up young people from Carver, taking them to TK Gregg for a top program. Then you may also, in that same day, have 25 young people who may live in the Cleveland elementary area who are looking to get to baseball practice at Duncan Park. So we feel that a bus this size will allow us to do that on a day-to-day basis, but also help us in the summer. So we contract with the district to provide all of our field trips, day-to-day field trips for our summer day camps. And so that could be up to 5 field trips every day, depending on the age groups. So we have 2 locations for summer day camps, 100 children per location. And each location takes a field trip, let's say to Camp Croft, on different days. And so during the year, during the summer, that bus would be in use every day, providing those field trips and taking that cost off of us from having to reserve from the school district or possibly to rent or charter a bus for longer trips.
And the Sparta system is not able to pick up any of this support?
We have provided bus passes for some of our young people to use Sparta to access some of our programs.
I'm just wondering, we talk about the underutilization of Sparta, and then we keep adding vehicles to sort of.
So the Sparta route is a federal fixed route. The flexibility of going in certain neighborhoods, the timing in which. So your question is timely because and I don't want to put the mayor on the spot or Chief Bruden on the spot, but my first introduction to those 2 young men, those gentlemen was on the activity bus. You know, and that activity bus, I mean, it's running to 7 o'clock in the evening, taking us to our neighborhoods. I mean, I live on the west end of our city, and I'm being transported for Spartanburg High School. I'm getting home at 6:30, 7 o'clock at night. If it wasn't for that activity bus, I would have never played football at Spartanburg High School, and I never would have went to college that I went to because of that experience. So that transportation for this population in our city is critical. And to Kim noted, you can just imagine a route that is running throughout our city, oftentimes running after Sparta has stopped running.
Yeah. and I'm not doubting the need for the vehicle. I'm trying to kind of drill down to make sure we're getting the right vehicle for what our day-to-day usage is. Because, I mean, I would imagine the bigger Thomas buses have a higher operating cost. You know, we're working on all these different other, access opportunities for transportation. So I just want to make sure that whatever we're going to add to the fleet is complementary to all those other
So,
pieces.
Kim, you might want to speak to some of the other challenges that we ran into around the Jacobs Law and what kids can ride, as well as what is out there as far as transportation. Because we did explore all those different avenues, and this is where we thought that was our best fit.
Certainly, and Jason is here if there are any other questions about the fleet and the bus itself. So Jacob's Law requires that any transportation of a school-aged child be in a vehicle that's designated as a school bus. So it can't be what some people would consider a church van. It has to be designated as a school bus. We have one vehicle currently now that is a 14-passenger van that fits that qualifications. We don't have any other vehicles that we can currently use to transport young people throughout the city because of Jacob's Law. And that was, this bus size was actually a recommendation from Fleet Maintenance as far as how much the bus costs, the operating costs of it, and our use of it. They keep pretty good track of how we use our vehicles, and that was a recommendation from them.
How many kids participated in swimming this summer? You know, right offhand.
On the swim team,
On the swim team.
I would say we had at least 45 participants on our swim team.
How did those kids get out to Woodruff Country Club or the Y out in Duncan? In Duncan.
A number of ways, either their own parents or parents of fellow swimmers, and sometimes even staff members.
And that's our team though. And I saw the tents and all that, and saw all of them coming in different aspects. And if we had the bus, all of them, of course, could meet at one of the centers and drive over together as a team and be together as a team. Correct.
It certainly would take a lot of planning to plan routes and things, and to look at field trips, and to make sure that the bus is in use and it's not needed to be used in some other places. For example, we talked about seniors. What does that senior programming look like in light of the other youth programming that's going on? So it will take some planning and almost a transportation plan in order for us to get the most use out of the vehicle.
And I'll let this go, but so we think one vehicle would be better than, say, 2 or 3 vehicles that we could get with the same amount of funding?
I think so. Again, I think we are limited to what we can use in those vehicles that would qualify.
Correct, so if we were to purchase 2 additional 14-passenger vehicles, once we got above any number, any program that had more than 45 young people in it, we would still be back where we are now, having to reserve or depend on other agencies or rent charters for that service.
And to be consistent, I just wanted to note, Boys and Girls Club transportation capabilities are much better than ours. They have a bus. Even the Bethlehem Center has a bus that's somewhat modified, and both of those programs are not serving as many kids as we're serving, but they today have better transportation than we do. The county also has a bus that they use for their recreational services that are consistent with what we would be seeking to purchase.
Councilman Rain is waiting patiently down here, and I know you're going to say
I think I've got it. I mean, so this would be, the example I was thinking of was it would take kids to swim meets. Would it go to the elementary schools and collect kids to go over to McCracken for football practice?
This bus gives us so many opportunities to mitigate the challenges of transportation in our community. When you look at those dots on the map and look at where the kids that we're currently serving, but today for those, and that doesn't even identify those that are not taking advantage of the programming. Having a fixed route that transportates our kids to our programming and our facilities is going to change the way we do programming in Parks and Recreation.
But I'm saying, would it be a fixed route, or would it vary by the day? If there's a swim meet, it would do that. If there's football practice, it would do that. Or y'all still
The
figuring
program
that
plan
out?
would follow the programming that we have.
Got it. So the fixed route would change based on what you have.
Correct.
Right.
I can imagine too, one vehicle relieves the need for multiple drivers. If we had multiple smaller cars, vans, whatever, then that's taking staff away. But one larger bus allows for one driver. Will this
Correct.
person, this will require a CDL?
It will require a CDL, and we also have a position already in our budget allotted for a bus driver. And from my understanding, we have several staff members who are anxious to take on the challenge of becoming a CDL driver to provide substitution in that light.
You mentioned, Mitch, the DOTs and those that participate. Do we foresee by having this and being able to expand that programming, you know, there are folks and families that aren't necessarily signing up right now because of that barrier, because they don't have the ability to get their kids to and from, and so, you know, they just don't participate right now? Do you anticipate an increase?
I would anticipate an increase. One of our staff members is our community engagement coordinator, Wanda Cheeks, and her job is to help close that gap when we have young families or anyone who may not be taking part in our programming for any specific reasons. And the input and the data that we get from her is how do we get a new family just moved into town. They have no transportation. How do we get them to our programs without them in some way feeling that they've either been left out, or they may start the program and after a couple of rounds, we don't see them because they simply have no way to get back to the program.
So once you purchase this bus, can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear.
Okay, once you purchase this bus and the maintenance on it will come from another source, or is it budgeted?
Jason?
You want to come?
Thank you, Jason.
No problem. The maintenance on the bus would be done in-house, all repairs and maintenance. The bus they currently have now, which is too small, is also 20 years old. And it's constantly in the shop for repairs. From the air conditioning to the front end work, to the brakes, tires, just normal routine maintenance, but also stuff that over a period of time costs more than the bus is worth. We recommended this bus for her because the capacity and the reliability of the bus. It would be, in the opinion of mine and hers and the shop, is it would be easier to maintain one bus than to try to maintain and keep up with fueling of 2 or 3 buses.
Would you contemplate retiring the existing bus that you were talking about?
Yes, we wouldn't have as much need for the existing bus. I know that there may be other departments within the city that use the bus in addition to what we use it for.
Any other questions?
There's more to the
Okay,
presentation. I'm
okay.
sorry.
So the second item we have is C.C. Woodson pool maintenance. And we've been very fortunate. The C.C. Woodson pool is 15 years old, and the plaster lifespan is within 7 to 10 years. But we have noticed that there are areas in the pool that need to be repaired. And what happens when the plaster starts to wear, it becomes a very kind of abrasive feel to your feet and toes. And we have noticed some cracks in the pool surface. So our second recommendation would be the replastering of the C.C. Woodson pool and a new pool cover to go along with that. And so next up we have general parks and recreation upgrades, and these cover a number of categories. First category that we're looking at as far as making sure that the community is connected and understands what offerings we have is a kind of an overhaul of our park wayfinding signage or system, which currently we don't have anything that gives you information if you are at South Converse Street, but you are looking to possibly go to the airport park. How do you get there? What amenities are there? So it allows you to be able to, in one space, almost understand our whole inventory while you're at one particular park. So we're looking at ways that we can find ways to upgrade our park wayfinding, understanding that building community and being cultural hubs, as our community centers often are, we would also like to do some audiovisual upgrades to all of our facilities. We have some spaces that are getting an enormous amount of use, especially since COVID. I think we've seen about a 27% increase in revenue that comes from not only our community center rentals, but our rentals for our park pavilions. So we're looking to upgrade those to make sure that they remain welcoming, remain safe for the public use of that. And then there are also some items within both C.C. Woodson and the Thornton Center, some interior upgrades that we've identified also.
So have you looked at the other outside parks before you go? I know you got
Yes.
Chapel Street up there. Like Irwin Park, are you going to do anything towards?
It's on the list.
Just-
So next up is Chapel Street Park. So Chapel Street Park was the one neighborhood park that was not included with the park improvements from before. So our plans are to replace the current playground using the footprint that is there, additional trash, new trash receptacles, park benches, repairs to the pavilion, and upgrade some of the things there in the park. So pretty much all of the amenities there in the park will be new. And the one good thing about Chapel Street Park is it does provide some natural shade. There's opportunity for parents as their children are playing to walk. There's a concrete walkway that goes around the playground. So it does provide a very inviting space. And we know a lot of us call it the Little Red Park. And we probably get more calls about the Little Red Park and its use as far as rentals and people being able to go there and enjoy the park. The park, there were a couple of improvements done a few years back. There was a basketball pad put in, but we feel that now is the time to make sure Chapel Street gets the same attention that other parks throughout the city have gotten.
Little Red Park
Excuse
had the
me.
Little Red store across the street.
I never knew.
Go ahead.
Excuse me, Kim, where is this park?
So Chapel
that-
Street, so it's at the intersection. If you were to go up North Church Street as you were going out of the city, it is one full block before you get to Cleveland Park on the left.
Okay, I know now. Now, does anybody use that? Because it
Yes.
doesn't.
Oh, yes.
Okay,
Heavily used.
okay.
Basketball courts right there at Asheville Highway. Goes down the hill a lot of times.
I've schooled
Okay.
a few kids on that court.
Any other questions for Chapel Street?
No, thanks.
Councilwoman Sally, you mentioned Irwin Park. So one of our recommendations is a set aside for Irwin Park. Irwin Park historically has provided so many amenities, not only for people who live close to the park, but citywide. It is a 14-acre park. The one unique thing about Irwin Park is the park itself sits in a space that has a very low social vulnerability index, but it is surrounded by tracks on both sides that have an index just the opposite. So it provides very good opportunity for socioeconomic mixing, to be able to bring about space in our community where people from different neighborhoods could certainly come and grow together. Will be access to Hampton Heights through sidewalks, pedestrian access to C.C. Woodson, Park Hills, and other surrounding neighborhoods. The last major investment at Irwin Park was the playground that I mentioned, the one-day Kaboom playground, and you guys know how long that's been. We do have some concept of what the park could be, but we want to take the same process that we took with Duncan Park, is to go through a community engagement process, allow the community to tell us what the park needs, and then to phase that improvement in, just as we're doing with Duncan Park. But as you can see, the park itself, as it is prime and it's just waiting for improvements. There are 2 baseball fields there, a basketball court, a playground, a large pavilion is still there. And there also is the old tennis court pad that still remains there.
Okay, Kim, let me ask you this, because I was under the impression at some point that housing was going to be going there.
Housing,
At Irving Park.
Irving Park is a land and water conservation funded project. It has to remain outdoor recreation forever.
Okay, so it would remain a park, is that what?
Unless we were to replace that investment in another location. That's one of the structures that is mandated by that funding. I would just add, it doesn't base, so the funding that went into Irving Park 40+ years ago was probably less than $70,000. Okay, but you take the value, the land value of it today, and you must replace it 1 for 1. And so we did explore the prospect of it, but unless we have another park that we build of equal value, we cannot change the designated use of that park today.
I would love to see something going there, because right now, you know, 'cause that park is nothing but a hangout for illegal activities. And it would be good for something to take place there that's going to improve. And I know that's a negative part, I shouldn't be saying that, but I'm just throwing it out there because I get complaints all the time about it. So I would like to see us do something about that, because it would be good if, you know, because some of the things that you're throwing out here now could take place, because right now it's an eyesore and it's a place for illegal activities.
That's exactly why they're presenting this proposal, that we beautify
I know,
it
that's
with
what
all
I'm
that.
saying.
Yeah.
Yeah, and
Awesome.
this strategy would encompass us working with other partners, particularly PAL in the state, to leverage our investment to capture additional dollars. We've been very successful due to our political leadership to maximizing opportunities like this to get other dollars. Airport Park is an example of it. South Converse Park is an example of it. The Mary Ray Wright Greenway is a part of our ability to leverage these dollars to get additional dollars.
I'm just gonna throw this out there again, and I hate to be the pessimist, but in 2018, when I first came on this council, I was talking about that park, and it's still nothing done. I am going to trust you, Kim, and you, Deputy, the City Manager, that we're gonna do something that's gonna bring something positive to that area.
One of the requests that this allows us to do is to do this with the community. So if council were to approve this designation of funds using an approach that Kim and Laura did at Duncan Park, there would be community engagement to really define the uses and to ensure that the community is a part of this process. So it wouldn't just be us making that decision.
Thank you.
Good.
And speaking of Duncan Park, our last recommendation would be continued support for Duncan Park improvements. Just to refresh your memory on some of the things that have been done so far, removal of invasives, new and resurfacing of asphalt trails. I think we all remember the opening of the ADA compliant kayak launch, and then pretty soon there will be some upgrades done to the baseball field. Upcoming in 2025, there's land and water conservation funding for 2 additional improvements, which would take place over an 18-month, maybe 2-year period, and that would be a picnic shelter near the lake, and then a perimeter trail that could connect the surrounding neighborhoods. We know that Duncan Park sits in an ideal space where it is the connector for, I think, 4 different neighborhood associations. So that is our final recommendation. Laura is here if there are any other questions of her as to what this process looks like.
I have a question about Duncan Park. I can't recall if we had already addressed or if that's coming with the tennis courts and the pickleball courts. I mean, they're not in the best shape.
As far as the
Is
current.
that part of what we might see?
So this round does not include the tennis courts that as they currently are. The tennis courts were damaged heavily with the hurricane, so we do have to make repairs to those, and we will use input from the community to determine if those return back to tennis courts or if they return back to half pickleball, half tennis courts.
Now, I'm glad you brought that up. Pickleball. What's the plan? Pickleball is becoming a very popular sport around the city, around the county. Do we have any plans?
We have two opportunities for pickleball. First, as councilperson mentioned, some courts there at Duncan Park, but also if we go back to Irwin Park, there is a huge tennis pad that was there before. So we feel that would be a great opportunity to bring about designated pickleball courts to the city.
And those repairs to the Duncan Park courts, that would be covered as part of our reimbursements from FEMA or the state?
Yeah.
Correct. So that would come later.
I think we're working on it now, but I'm not sure when it'll happen.
Okay.
Go ahead. I'm sorry. Well, we covered inner city, but we didn't cover west side town. Are there any monies designated or will be designated for some new parks or existing, because there are some existing parks over there, other than Highland?
We have Airport Park, which is about an $800,000 improvement the last 5 years. I think, Councilwoman Sally, the broader conversation around programming, not just facilities, is the connections and those dots on the map. I don't know if you saw, there's a lot of West Side participation.
Couldn't see.
And there's also St. Matthews Park.
Yeah, okay.
I was just going to go back to your comment about the pickleball. I mean, there seems to be quite the demand. I mean, I play out at Duncan Park, and oftentimes, I mean, we go at like 7 in the morning because, you know, by mid-morning, it's full. And I noticed the last time we were there prior to the hurricane, it was on a schedule. So
Correct.
So obviously, there's a need there, because I think there's, you know, some, you know, the tennis players who don't really believe in pickleball, and the pickleball players who, you know.
So what our administrative support manager did a survey over a number of months, and we looked at other agencies as to how they use their limited space, and that's how that scheduling came about as far as the use of pickleball versus tennis.
So Kim, Laura, and I had the opportunity, I think it was last week, to talk about strategy in this presentation. There was thought that we gave to an investment sooner versus later of pickleball courts at Irwin Park, but what we have not done is done the community engagement with our community to define use, but also it's a way of building stakeholders by having those conversations as we've done in Duncan Park. So we did not come before you tonight with a recommended use at Irwin Park simply because we need to do the engagement, but it also gives us opportunity to leverage those dollars. We get other additional dollars.
We've had conversation with District 7 about pickleball.
We have on a couple of occasions the use of some of their courts, and I think they have been pretty welcoming of that. I think we need to follow back up on that conversation and what that looks like.
Good. Any other questions? Any other comments?
Well, this is the one I was gonna.
Yeah.
So, Kim, as I've said, when we've been talking about these ARPA funding, you know, I mean, there are a couple of things that are critically important to me. One, that we use this one-time funding, you know, on items that are the core essential functions of government. And parks is obviously one of those. So I'm glad to see us, you know, investing in these parks, irrespective of my questions about whether or not we've got the right vehicle or not. I'll have to trust you on that one. But the other piece of this that was important was impact, but also the ability to leverage. You know, you mentioned, Mitch, the opportunity with you know, some PAL partnership dollars, but are there any other areas in this schedule of expenses that we think we could get some sort of leverage dollars from either a state or federal grant
Yeah,
or
the great-
private
Great is
foundation grant,
just-
county foundation. Would be a good source potentially.
So the Duncan Park is, I think it was referenced. I mean, we have already in hand $400,000.
It's on there.
Yeah, and I think that's critical. The opportunity is with Irving Park, with what we do there. Chapel Street is an immediate need that we have to address. And some of the other items, the maintenance piece, we don't see the opportunity to leverage. Those are things that we must provide and we do alone. I would take a note to just, if you would allow me to broaden this context of this investment at this time. 20 years ago, when I first came to the city, we were operating 5 facilities in the city, 5. C.C. Woodson, T.K. Gregg, Northwest Center, a swim center, and we had a long-term agreement with Woodland Heights Recreation Center. We operated those facilities. And Dennis, if he was here, he could reconcile the costs. Today, our cost for facility operations is much less than where it was 20 years ago. And I would also add that we're much more efficient with how we do it. And so I just wanted to add that. And also just for council's benefit, again, you know, the stated purpose of these dollars today is to build a strong, resilient, and equitable recovery by making investments that support long-term growth and opportunity, emphasizing the low-income households and low-income neighborhoods and communities. And we feel that this strategy meets that need. And Dennis would note that these dollars are not subject to the oversight of the federal dollars because of how they are designated, but we feel that we, through this strategy, is really meeting the objective of how it was defined in the use.
Great.
Any other questions?
Thank you.
I feel like that this was sort of staged, you know, you give Kim the
The award.
Person of the Year award.
not.
and then you
It was
bring her up
not.
for some you know,
It
some-
was actually,
this was well played, very well
we were
played.
supposed to do this before Christmas.
How do we tell Kim no? You know?
Exactly. How do you tell the
Thank
Person
you
of
all.
the Year?
On today, of all days. But council, I will recommend, I will hear a motion though to move forward.
I make a motion that we approve the ARPA funding as presented.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any that opposed? Ayes have it, no further discussion. Awesome, awesome. Thank you, Kim, again, and congratulations. Item 11, staff updates.
Mr. Mayor, members of council, I will be brief. I wanted to just make a couple of comments about our continued progress on Hurricane Helene recovery. We continue to have, on average, about 8 crews mobilized every day doing additional debris removal. And folks should be aware that we have not made our final pass in any area. There is certainly much more debris to move. We've moved to date 235,000 cubic yards of debris, and that's
How many
about it.
football fields is that?
Well, if you put it on, let's see, if you put it 1 foot deep, it'd be 150 football fields, and if you stacked it on 1 football field, it'd be about a 15-story building.
Wow.
So,
Oh, wow, that's good. Okay.
So thank you for the question, Mr. Mayor.
I know you've done some research.
ChatGPT has helped us on that. But it is a huge volume of material, and we are continuing to move. And there are some, we're continuing to work with SCDOT on their corridors, and it's not always apparent to the public what's SCDOT and what's city. We try to work through those. There also are some circumstances where the particular type of equipment needs to be a little bit different. If the power lines are not as tall in some places, then we might need to get a different type of truck and equipment to remove certain debris. So if it seems that there's not a rhyme or reason to why certain things have been left while others have moved, There generally is, I'm not going to say there fully is, but there generally is good awareness of the things that are left to remove. And also, while the debris removal is in some ways the most visible aspect of Hurricane Helene, I want the council to be aware that we continue to work regularly with our community partners on the human side and the assistance to homeowners and others that were impacted by the storm. FEMA team has now moved out of their temporary offices at C.C. Woodson Center, but they are still accessible for contact by individuals and our partners, the United Way and other community service organizations. We continue to be in regular communication about how to best support those that were adversely impacted by the storm. So just want you to be aware that that work is not forgotten, and if folks need assistance, if you will refer them in our direction, we'll try to get them connected to those who may be able to help.
Chris, didn't they extend their time? Didn't they just extend FEMA?
Yes, FEMA recognizes that huge percentages of the country are doing disaster recovery efforts, and so they've extended time frames on several fronts.
I think he was specifically.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, here.
We were seeing miscommunication that they were shutting down last week. They've extended that to the 23rd, so they will be at C.C. Woodson to the 23rd.
Okay,
I'm
okay.
sorry. So that was, my apologies.
No problem, no
The
problem.
23rd of this month is when so folks can continue to access them at C.C. Woodson Community Center through the 23rd. Big activities this week, and others may have may want to highlight some of these events, but it is the 38th annual Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Unity Week celebration, with a number of activities that we are excited to participate in, including the Walk as One this coming Saturday at 9, and the community celebration at 3 p.m. On Sunday at Memorial Auditorium. Kathy Hill and her team and a big diverse community put together a great slate of events, so I encourage folks to check the website and find the particular activity in a week's worth of activities that fits with them and their family. Certainly welcome any questions, Mr. Mayor, but we'll leave it brief.
Chris, you mentioned the website where the Unity Week activities would, so that's the city's website?
Yes.
Will it be on the homepage?
Yes, and it is. You can find it from the homepage. Just search MLK. If it doesn't pop right up, then it'll take you directly to that.
And Chris, you mentioned on the debris cleanup, I feel like some of those questions were directed to me and resident inquiries that I've received, but the difference between the state DOT maintained roads and the city maintained roads, I mean, there's some major corridors, and at least in my district, and I think throughout the city, that are state maintained roads, and there's some, you know, I mean Woodburn Road is an example of the portion that's state maintained. You would think that that would have been a higher priority than it has turned out to be for the state, but we are in concert with our partners there trying to encourage the vital corridors inside the city that are maintained by other people to get those taken care of.
Yes, in fact, they were working one turn off of that area today, so assume that may be next. But yes, SCDOT has been working. You know, all the agencies that are doing debris removal are being impacted by the fact that there's just only so much heavy equipment that can be moved to a storm damage area at any given time. These folks come from all over the country to do it, and they're usually able to locate within an area that's 100 miles or less. But in this case, this year, that activity is going from the Gulf Coast east all the way across Florida, up through Georgia, through both Carolinas, into parts of Tennessee and Virginia. It's just the geographic footprint is so large that, and again, only so much heavy equipment to go around.
And irrespective of debris cleanup, I mean, this is part of it, but I know in the last year or so, we've retooled our website to be more interactive.
Yes.
Where residents could submit directly, information as it relates to items that they need the city to address. Do we have enough data yet to really understand the efficacy of that effort and to ensure that, when somebody submits a complaint or a concern, that is being taken care of within a, reasonable amount of time?
Yes, we take, both through the website and through the My Spartanburg app, all service calls monthly are aggregated and monitored by a team so that each department leader gets feedback on any open inquiries. Certainly welcome any additional questions. If not,
Awesome, thank you, Chris. City council updates. Councilman Rain,
Oh, I think you start on that side.
I figured you wanted to say something on baseball before we got there. Little League. From Thomas.
Oh, what was I gonna say?
got 'em
Thanks for
all
being
in.
here, Josh.
Got them all out of sorts.
Excited about it. Happy New Year, everyone.
Thank you. Councilman Sally.
Well, I have moved back to my original position. Thank you all for coming out. Happy New Year. Glad to see you. And let's just stay as warm as possible until April.
Councilwoman Little John.
Oh, he's come, my goodness, you.
Back and forth, New Year, 2025.
Okay, well,
It's like a pickleball court.
Serve to you.
okay, first of all, I want to congratulate Kim, and I want to say marriage does agree with you, because you look absolutely wonderful.
I also wanted to congratulate Kim in my update. He threw me by surprise. Congratulations.
Before Ruth take that any further, I did want to recognize Greg Brown, Kim's husband, who's there with her as well. So Ruth kind of hit on it already, so Greg, congratulations, brother.
Okay, I am excited, and I know that Megan wanted to give this first, but I was going to beat her to it. Anyway, the Spartanburg Academic Movement has awarded a $1 million.
Been awarded.
Yeah,
We didn't do the awarding. Yeah.
I mean, it came to, well, let me give you the exact figure. Okay, so she said that. Okay, it was $1 million, but it ended up being $945,308 to SAM. And those funds would go to support neighborhoods on the south side of town that will focus on 4 key schools in Spartanburg School District 7, and that's Mary H. Wright, E.P. Todd, Carver Middle School, and Spartanburg High. And this initiative also aims to improve student achievement, enhance family support, and foster a stronger community. I am so excited about this, because this is going to, and I want to thank Russell Booker and his team. I will say this, Russell, it was back, Dr. Booker. Dr. Booker pulled together elected officials, former elected officials, and community leaders on the south side of town that represent that area. It was back in either August or September of last year. He pulled us together, and we were all in this room and throwing out ideas and stuff. And when he said that, and I think it was, I forget her name that writes the grants.
Evan? Keisha?
I think it's Keisha, the one that was doing it. It was either Evan or Keisha. Anyway, only had 3 days to write that grant. 3 days to get that grant written. And I didn't believe that they were going to be able to do, and they did it. thank you, Sam. God, we love you. God, we love your staff. We love everybody. And let me wind up by saying the lady that's sitting back there in that tan shirt, I love your haircut. I mean, that is a beautiful haircut. Thank you,
It's
ma'am.
awesome. You're welcome. Councilwoman Smith.
Thank you. Happy New Year to everyone. That grant was through the federal government, through the Promised Neighborhoods grant, so we are excited about that, both as the city and as Sam. I want to congratulate Hannah Jarrett, who we all know through United Way of the Piedmont as just a brilliant strategist and compassionate heart. She's going to be the new director of the A Place to Call Home initiative, which we have heard about through Mitch, but is our collective effort to continue to work with our homeless population. So congratulations to her. And then if you haven't read the editorial today in the Post and Courier written by their editorial board on home rule, I encourage you to read it, and I'll just leave it at that. I look forward to working with our state partners. Home rule, which is the state's thinly guised allowance of us to be autonomous and rule ourselves as a local municipality. So looking forward to all that's ahead with all of our state and federal and local partners, but knowing that we know what's best for our people and trying to maintain our autonomy. So good job, Post and Courier.
Jamie, Councilman Foreman.
Yeah, Kim, congratulations again from all of us. Also want to congratulate Spartanburg bred Todd Leahy, who was just appointed to lead the Chapman Cultural Center. He was a Spartan High graduate, and we look forward to Todd's return home and exciting things for the Chapman Cultural Center ahead. Also on that same note, congratulations to Wofford College graduate Craig Melvin, who started his first day as the co-host of the Today Show. So that's a big deal for Wofford College and by proxy to Spartanburg. And then I hope everybody will enjoy the Unity Week events in the days ahead.
Mayor Pro Tem.
Mr. Mayor, congratulations, Kim. We're so lucky to have you, and it's just been a pleasure to work with you over the years since 2014, and we need to clone you like a million times, because you are the bread and butter of that team, and you've developed a great team around you, and you guys are a model for Parks and Recs for cities across the country. So thank you for all that you do. Happy New Year, everyone. Don't have anything. I feel like it's been quite some time since we've been sitting here. But I did have a couple thoughts about, continue to pray for the people of California and these terrible wildfires, and also for the people of Western North Carolina who are still, living in tents and going without. And I just want to remind everyone that this isn't political. These are people's lives, and they have lost their entire homes, their livelihoods. Yes, you hear the one-off here and there about the celebrities and they're losing all of their homes, but the majority of the individuals who have lost their homes and their entire livelihoods are people just like you and me. And I think that as a society, we have lost our way. We have allowed politics to really eat at our souls in terms of how we treat one another. I was reading on some of the families and things, and I mean, these are just everyday folks who have worked their entire lives, generations. Some of these neighborhoods, historically black neighborhoods, generations of families have been wiped out in terms of their entire livelihoods. And I think about their ability to rebuild. It's probably not going to happen, because you have those with money who are going to come in and buy. I mean, you see this day in and day out. But I think oftentimes we can disagree on policies, but I just want to remind people to remember, that we're all human beings, and to have compassion and empathy. It's not a blue state, red state type deal. People have lost their lives and their entire livelihoods, and I just, I'm hoping that in this next year to come, 4 years to come, that we all can really try to remember that we all essentially want the same things in life. We want to be able to raise our families and have good schools and good neighborhoods and love who we want to love, et cetera. But it's just gotten, some of the stuff that I've read online about, what people, just the people laughing at people losing their entire livelihoods just because, this person may vote a different way. So I hope as we look into 2025, we think about how important it is to try to find some common ground with one another, and just be respectful and have empathy and compassion and help in any way. If you're gonna get online and, talk smack, just do something. Just shut up and donate. And we're all in this together, and I can't imagine what that's like to, look up and you're literally surrounded by flames and you have no time. I'm interested in talking to some of our firefighters about how that has all transpired. I don't suspect we would ever endure something like that because we don't deal with 100-mile-an-hour Santa Ana winds and things like that, and our area is not as dry as those areas. But I'm just intrigued by how quickly this all happened, and the loss, such a magnitude of loss. So wishing you all a great 2025, and we've got lots of work to do and lots of exciting things happening in the city. We've got the baseball stadium coming in a couple months, or hopefully the planetarium coming in a couple months, as long as everything stays on schedule. I hope you all enjoyed the 2025 blizzard of, I would like to appeal to meteorologist Chris Justice. I would like a refund for all the groceries that I bought. So thank you all for being here. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you. And to Kim, again, congratulations, Greg. Outstanding job. But also for that presentation, one thing we like to pride ourselves on is that we invest in people. And that's some of our youngest people that we are investing in. Investing in with the Park and Rec, and those ARPA dollars that are going there could actually been a lot more. But MLK, 38th annual MLK week, we're all invited to the art contest reception at 6:00 p.m. at the Chapman Culture Center. Friday the 17th, Kindness Day, all day. Find some reason, some extra effort to be kind. And a lot of you in this audience, I'm sure, are already kind people, but make it a little extra effort and go get them a Krispy Kreme donut. Be kind. Saturday, Walk as One. We will start at Cleveland Park Pavilion, 9:00 a.m. We will start there and have a couple miles, not quite 3. Kathy Hill is responsible for the route. We do so appreciate her. I'm not going to put it on Kim. She's MVP today. Something else on Saturday. Also, Sunday, community celebration, 3:00 p.m. at the auditorium, Spartanburg Auditorium. Our keynote speaker will be Ruby Bridges. Outstanding opportunity to have her here in Spartanburg to talk about her life and her activism in civil rights battles that she's had throughout the years. And Monday, the Day of Service. A Day of Service is a national holiday, but here in Spartanburg it's a day on, not a day off. We will kick off at 7:30 a.m. Jamie at TK Gregg, Dr. TK Gregg Recreation Community Center, 7:30 a.m. And Denny's will provide breakfast. Nope, they will not. But it's a day on, not a day off. So thank you all for being here. Happy New Year to you. Shay and I are, again, grandparents for the 6th time. This morning, our next to oldest daughter, Jamara, just had a little girl this morning. Yeah. Got the pounds and all that somewhere in there.
Are you a papa?
Papa.
Are you
Papa
a papa?
Jerome. Papa.
Papa, people.
Yes, ma'am.
His honor.
Today is my son's birthday.
Okay.
Can you all just say happy birthday, Terry?
Happy birthday,
Happy
Terry.
birthday, Terry.
Thank you.
Now, we hope you're watching. You don't have to get it recorded to play back. But happy birthday, Terry, and many more to you. So again, thank you all for being here. We will have breakfast at that 7:30. Day of service at TK. I might be on the flat top.
Okay.
You know, turning some eggs. So thank you all for joining the new council member here in 2025. You all have a great day.
I moved that we're
No.
I move that we
Mr.
move
Mayor, I
into
move-
executive
yeah.
session.
There we go.
I'm with Janie.
Second for that executive session. Second.
Second.
All in favor? Let's go.
Aye.
Let's go.
What were you thinking?
My game.
Oh, thank you.